Welcome to Inquiry into Self. There are two definitions for destiny, and we get them confused and cause ourselves misery. One is a mental concoction. We come up with something that we think meets our standards as our destiny. And those standards change. You know, what we think we want to be. I had a friend who, when he was little, he was asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "I want to be a gorilla." That was his favorite destiny as a child. As we grow, what we think we want changes. So there's this mental conception that we think is our destiny. But then there's something else, and that is the deepest harmony living through us. That is much more expansive than our brain could ever imagine. The closest thing to that true destiny is this moment, because we're present right now. And when that destiny happens, we will be present inside of it. Everything else is way outside on the periphery, mental concoctions just imagined. So this moment is the closest we can possibly get to that ongoing destiny. In other words, this moment is our destiny right now. Now, it doesn't make any sense, but living as though this right now is our full destiny, we've lived our whole life just in order to reach this moment, it does something within us so that we can recognize and access more easily the fullest destiny that we would ever live into, which doesn't make any sense, right? How can we choose now in order to get somewhere that who knows what that is? We're not getting anywhere. So the choosing the now does something that aligns us so that we fill out more completely the fullness of what we are. And when we've filled out more completely the fullness of what we are, that beingness is what carries us as the next moment, and carries us as the next moment, and carries us as the next moment. So what does that mean? To fill out more fully what we actually are. Well, that is living this moment as though this is what we wanted. This is what we've lived up to our whole lives. So how does that happen? Well, for example, when I was in a corporate world, it was not fitting. You know, I was constantly feeling out of sync. It just didn't match with my creative interests. It didn't match with my connecting interests. It didn't match with most of my values. And yet that's where I was, and I didn't know where would be a better place. But instead, I was, trying to figure out a better place, and it showed up, and it was irresistible when it did. So all that trying to find it really didn't do anything, except for maybe help calm the part of me that wanted to leave. But I also stopped and just said, okay, in this company, suppose it were my company, what would I want to do to help it? And in that case, I wanted there to be a lot more connection between the different departments. I was a marketing product manager, and I worked closely with engineering, manufacturing, quality, regulatory, sales. So I wanted to see all these departments working together instead of pulling in different directions for different resources. And so I created a meeting between all the directors and had them each put up what they felt like were the priorities for the company. And it became really clear at the director level that things were not aligned. And so they started to ask, well, why do you find that to be a more important objective for the company? And why are you putting more resources towards that? And these things at least became out in the open and discussed. And it felt so fulfilling to me. Now, this, of course, was not part of my job duties. It wasn't anything that I had a supervisor checking in on. It was simply just something I did because that's what I'd do if it was my company. And living that way, I felt I was living out the fullness of my being, and I was being my fullest self. Another time, okay, so I'm in the hospital. Now I'm an ultrasound tech. So I do ultrasounds on people, and some days it's really gratifying. I'm helping people feel more comfortable with what's going on in their body. I'm helping them get accurate diagnoses, or I'm meeting really interesting people. But there's other days when it's just miserable people. They need a different type of exam, but to check the boxes, they always have to check for something that requires an ultrasound. So it's always negative. I'm not finding anything that's going to help them, but they're in this miserable place, and hopefully they'll get the right test that will show what the real problem is. And after 5 exams like that, and there's people are in too much sorrow for me to be able to have a full conversation with them. There have been times when I just feel like I'm bending over, putting my body out, and there's just nothing coming back to me. But I stopped and said, okay, what if it's my destiny here right now? Now, what came into my head at the moment, I'm sure is not what would come into other people's head, but it was, these are people who I've received from in the past, and now it's my turn to give to them. I'm talking about past lives. Now, I don't know if there's past lives, but somehow it was amazing how this sense of meaning came in. It was like, okay, I don't know the exact order, but I had this sense that there is an order and there is a balance happening right now. And as I serve them and am just simply with them in their suffering, with them in their pain, there's a order that's being fulfilled. And all of a sudden I felt completely different. It was like, wow, if I've got karma to complete with different people, I want to do that. Great. This hospital has so many people being flown in. I'm just going to complete karma with this person and complete karma with this person and serve them, serve them, serve them. Now, like I said, I really don't know if any of that is true, but what I do know is there is an inexplicable, beautiful harmony in the universe. And simply by creating a framework for my mind, doesn't have to be the exact truth, but it's a framework that helps my mind feel the order. Then it just felt like, oh, there's destiny here. And if I'm ever supposed to leave this job, it will become very clear. It's not like it's going to make me do something that's not right. But it just had me tap into, yes, this moment with this patient is my fullest destiny. And it totally changed the inside experience. It just felt so much more precious, so much more impactful. And as that happened, the lightness and the aliveness just filled out more in my experience. And that I know is true. The lightness and the aliveness is true. So this living as this moment is my fullest destiny creates this space. And what ended up happening with that other job, by living in that place, I was in this very creative, open space so that when the next thing showed up, it was completely obvious. I was in an energetic place to completely make the move immediately. If we're in misery and then the right thing shows up, it's like, oh, we got to go back step and kind of spruce myself up or something. But No, if we're living in this most alive fullness, then when those places do show up, we just flow so naturally into them. Well, of course, the yes is available, the creativity is available, the confidence is available, the connection is available, and there were many times at the hospital, there are many times when after I've seen those patients, I meet somebody who's really, they've authored a book that I really liked, that kind of situation. And I'm totally open and interested and available and connecting because I'm not in this, oh, woe is me, what's going on here mode. I'm in the fullness of my being, enjoying. And so when the next thing shows up, lo and behold, it's a beautiful thing that is more obviously beautiful. So as we recognize that this moment is our fullest destiny, it creates the aliveness and the openness and the fullness that usher in the next moment and usher in the next moment with the greatest capacity for its full richness. So destiny is not this limited path that the mind can trump up. It is the flow of our inner being. And the flow of our inner being is now, and now, and now.